Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a 2021 limited edition of 844 pieces in titanium from Tag Heuer. This is the Aquaracer Professional 300 meter, and it is a dive watch designed to provide a fair amount of legibility, quality, refinement, and nostalgia. And on that last count, it is designed not line for line, but in the spirit with some visual references to recall the 1978 reference 844. So that's where the 844-piece limited edition number comes from. So 43 millimeters in diameter in media blasted titanium. It's 12.7 millimeters thick and 49.8 millimeters lug-to-lug because it does not have a solid end link. That 49.8 is the total distance across the wrist with a 22 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. Pop open the clasp. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It's nice and light. All titanium sapphire with a ceramic bezel. It's made of a lot of very lightweight materials. And you can see it fits well, though it is broad. I would say wear it on a wrist my size or larger. I think if your wrist is much smaller than mine, you're going to wind up with a little bit of lug overlap beyond the wrist. It wears fine on my wrist. It's very light. It's very comfortable. It's just broad. You can also see that it's thinner than you might think. That's the benefit of still using Sellita and ETA movements in these. Those are all thin movements, and this watch is slim accordingly. Taking a look at the bracelet, it is also made of media blasted titanium. We have an end link that helps to conform it to the case, and you can see it has a pivoted end link, so the bracelet will pull straight down out of the lugs. There's no lug flare or fight or anything of the sort. We have a little bit taper down towards the clasp. We have a series of bars that are used to fix the links in place, and you will need a block and a punch if you want to size this at home, but it does feature quite a few removable links, so you've got a fair degree of fine sizing potential. Note that there are 2 intermediate size links in there in case you find yourself in between sizes, and unlike a lot of dive watches in this price point, we don't have to use a strap tool to take the bracelet in or out and move its anchoring point in the clasp. We can actually do that just by using the push button slider. Now this can be used for fine-tuning the fit, or you can pull it out all the way for a robust extension over a diving suit. We also have a little Tag Heuer shield there, thick gauge titanium, single fold deployment. We do have twin triggers, so you have to press both of them for this to open. It's quite secure when closed, and that's important because this watch may be used over a deep water marine environment and you don't want to drop your watch. The other nice thing about the slider that allows you to size the watch is that this can all be done when the watch is on the wrist. In other words, you don't have to worry about dropping it and popping the clasp open to make adjustments. That would be a little bit sensitive over water, so here you have the ability to do all of that when the clasp is closed and on the wrist, which I deeply appreciate. The case is faceted, though you can see there are no real hard creases. There are some bevels, there are some character lines, flares, and dips. We do have angular lug profiles. Everything's media blasted. The bezel features a ceramic insert, which is radially brushed in that 1970s fashion. The knurling on the bezel is easy to grip. You can see this is a multifaceted bezel, and if you take a quick look at the individual indices, you can see they echo the profile of the bezel, which is a nice little piece of design parallelism. It's a very chunky 60-click bezel, and I really like the detent. Let's hear it again. Very, very mechanical, super pleasing. A good dive bezel can make a dive watch just as a bad one can break the experience, and this lives up to billing. Taking a quick look at the luminescent facet of the watch, it's more than you might think, as we have all 3 hands luminescent, including the minute hand critically in blue, so you can read it at a glance against the bezel index, but then you've got 5-minute markers all the way around, so this is a precision timing instrument in the dark, and this is dusk till dawn luminescence. This is not the kind of lume that fades after 30 minutes. A really cool watch, and I do like that the fact we have a lumed seconds hand gives us an awareness of whether our dive timer is running if we are diving in low light. In terms of refinement, I do appreciate that we have a Cyclops eye magnifier on the underside of the crystal, so it doesn't look like a wart on the watch. It's well placed over a date that features a quick set. We also have a hacking seconds function. Inside we have a caliber 5, which is either a ETA 28242 or its Sellita twin, the SW200. Either way, bidirectional winding. It's the same design. It's just that the ETA is so old that the patents and the copyrights no longer apply. Anyone can make one. That's why we have Sellita SW200s and 2824s that are equivalent. Like I said, bidirectional winding, 38-hour power reserve, hacking seconds, quick set date, and a 4 Hz beat rate. You can see on the reverse we have this honeycomb design along with a vintage diving helmet whose window actually matches the profile of the indices as well as the bezel. So we mentioned design parallelism, and here it is again. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. I want to make one last shout out and just acknowledge that this dial is luminescent, three-dimensional, beautifully laid out, quite clean with bilateral symmetry. You could split it down the center and it's symmetrical on both sides. A really great looking luminescent metallic green dial with a little stepped track outboard for reading minutes and seconds. Again, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.